Hi Kirby and Esteban. I'm just switching to this medium for a second because I can't very well put this into a comment. I start over right now because I hadn't started the recording actually. The thing is, Kirby, you just wrote about the excuse me. No. You just wrote about how you like to put the origin of the coordinate system at the center of somebody. And I like that too. My universe actually is polycentric, which is to say I can zero in on anybody. And it's ironic that you keep wrapping out the coordinate system around that somebody again and again in that way of the cube, when I'm actually doing this in my relating to both synergetics, the way of the spheres, and my body. And to me, looking at synergetics, the first resonance was Capoeira, which is some practice I've been doing for a long while, even though I'm a little bit rusty right now. But the thing is, when I'm looking at the VE, I see Capoeira in there. And I'm going to share with you how just now. So look at the VE in this way. Note how we're sitting on a triangle right now. Triangle base. We could have this be brick, but it isn't. Sorry, Esteban, this is prior to brick. And note still how we have one four eyes on the ground, and we have one four eyes that is like a skypod. One is a tripod, the other is a skypod. I'm relating to the ground here. And this, to me, embodies the coordinate system that I embody when I'm playing Capoeira. I'll show you what I mean. Because in Capoeira, our base step is called Ginga. And the Ginga is what the base four eyes here is doing. In other words, I've got a position which is called Balance do Mar here in the front, which is the same as these two. And then I've got the third point in the back, which is where the Ginga takes me. And it takes me there with one leg and then the other. Like so. See, that's the Ginga, that's the base step of Capoeira. And it relates in my center of gravity, being the center of that VE. I've got the ground there, I've got the whole sphere to move around in. I can do all the stuff that the Capoeira does. Up by here, I can go into the ground too, because there's no up and down, just in, out and around altogether. And lastly, I can even show you the translation between the tradition of Capoeira and its Ginga, and then what the B-boys, the breakers, the breakdancers did with it, B-boys and girls, which was, they looked at the Ginga of the Capoeira, meaning they had their triangle like this, that they saw before them, just as you're looking at me, and they did the mirroring, so they translated it to the triangle that is on the top, which is to say their base was on the back, and they're doing the, I don't know, call it shuffle or whatever, they do it to the front, like so. So even that is entailed within the VE. And lastly, I learned a long while ago a different kind of Capoeira, which was indeed all square based, all the good old colonized kind of Capoeira, where even the Ginga was laid out up on the ground as a square, no third point in the back, but parallel lines all through, and we were told over and over and over again not to have our joints be what's it called? I'm lacking the word here. Obtuse? No, that's the other one. We were always taught to have all the joints be right angles, because anything more pointy was forbidden because it would hurt our joints. And that is like putting a cube around capoeira and trapping capoeira in the cube, like this, where all of the triangleness is only coincidental and can easily be ignored and forgotten. Whereas I live in this, I now do capoeira triangola, where the jinga is the same as is the dance of the Dao. And we have jogo de dentro, jogo de do, jogo, I forgot. Jogo de dentro. It's when we draw in, get close with one another. And even that it can do. Good old vector equilibrium. Good old dance of the Dao, jitterbug. Jitterbug. Up. There's one more here. Up. And you asked about the hex rays. Here are the hex rays. The hex rays are the contraction of the dozen radii of the vector equilibrium into 6 pairs. And still, even here, the jinga is alive. It can be a very tiny jinga. Very, very tiny jinga. But a jinga nonetheless. 3 legs out of 2. Peace.